Thanks, Lydia. Just after 5, here are the top 5 stories on CBS 5 News. We now know the name of the Seneca Falls woman killed in a 3-car crash in Ulysses, Tompkins County yesterday. Police say 86-year-old Marguerite Cole was a passenger in a minivan that crossed into oncoming traffic on Route 89 and hit 2 other cars. When the fire crews got to the scene, 4 people were trapped. 3 airlifted to Upstate Medical Center in Syracuse with serious injuries and have undergone surgery. Today marks 1 year since the deadly fire on Fitch Street in Syracuse. 4 people died, including a 1-year-old boy. The man accused of setting the fire, Charles Dubois, was back in court today, where his defense attorney revealed he plans to not use his psychiatric evaluation for the trial that starts in 3 weeks. Dubois, who was related to the people in the house, pleaded not guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder.
And I ran to the door to ring the doorbell, and I didn't hear anything. So then I came around, and that's when I saw the blood, and I tried to get into the garage, and I saw my sister laying on the ground.
A deadly end to a 15-hour standoff between a gunman and authorities in Georgia. And there is body camera video that shows 2 police officers coming under fire as the suspect barricaded himself inside the house. When police went in this morning, they say they found the gunman, a 16-year-old boy, and a pregnant woman dead. In Phoenix, Arizona, a man is under arrest for road rage. Joshua Gonzalez facing murder charges in the death of a 10-year-old girl. Police say Summer Brown was gunned down in front of her home after Gonzalez followed her family's car and opened fire on them in a fit of road rage. Brown's father was also shot, but is expected to be okay. A missing New Hampshire couple was found safe in upstate New York. Police say Norman and Shirley Lapine were involved in a minor car crash and were not badly hurt. The couple was last seen driving on the thruway through Syracuse last night and used a credit card in Waterloo. The Lapines were on their way to New Hampshire at the time. It was the first hate crime conviction in Onondaga County history. Now Dwight DeLee, the man who was accused in the death of a transgender woman more than 10 years ago, is out of prison and talking about what happened. Let's get the facts first on CBS 5 News at 5 o'clock. Flashback to November 2008. 22-year-old Letitia Green was shot outside a house party in Syracuse. During the trial, witnesses testified that DeLee made homophobic comments before firing a rifle into the car, killing Green. He was found guilty, but released in the summer of 2013, when a higher court ruled the jury's verdict was flawed. In 2016, he was arraigned and pleaded not guilty to manslaughter, and just last month was acquitted of manslaughter as a hate crime. CBS 5's Mary Keeler is with the Live Eye in Syracuse with the exclusive now.
Dwight DeLee tells me today that since he walked out the courtroom doors behind me here in downtown Syracuse a month ago, it's still hard to look back on his nearly 3 years in prison, spent there for a crime that he did not commit, he says.
Take me back to November 2008, when all that you were accused of and, you know, all of this happened. Talk to me, tell it to me from your perspective.
It was emotional for me, and it just being caught up with something like that, a hateful crime, it kind of hurt me.
Dwight DeLee is out of prison. It was later overturned by a higher court. The Onondaga County District Attorney's Office got permission to retry his case in 2016. He was later acquitted. And now, after a decades-long battle, he's out of prison.
So even today, you know, as a free man again, you stand by your convictions that you did not murder Letitia Green.
I upheld my innocence since 2008. And to have to relive that fact, to relive that incident 11 years later is always hurtful.
Did you know of her? I mean, was there a connection at all?
I never knew Letitia Green. I never knew Moses Cannon. And that's why I chose the vehicle of representing myself.
DeLee says he spent time in prison working out, meditating, and reading books in the law library. It was there that he decided to stand alone and fight for himself in Onondaga County Court during his retrial, ultimately proving to a jury that he should be free.
When they said not guilty, I dropped my head and I cried because I put in so much work.
Tonight, Onondaga County District Attorney Bill Fitzpatrick weighing in, also saying that 12 jurors during his first initial trial did find Dwight DeLee guilty, and he stands by his prosecution of this case. And during his first trial, too, as you mentioned, Michael, several witnesses testified saying DeLee made homophobic comments before firing a rifle and killing Letitia Green. Live in Syracuse, I'm Mary Keeler.
All right, Mary Keeler, thank you. This is one of the top stories on the CNY Central mobile app. You can get the news of the day, breaking alerts, and more when you download it for free on your smartphone. The FBI today filed criminal charges against a man from Ohio who claimed to be a missing boy. Mark Liverman brings us up to date.
As a reminder that lying to the FBI has consequences.
Federal officials have charged 23-year-old Brian Reaney with lying to an FBI agent about his true identity.
The individual identified himself to her as Timothy Pitson and gave details about how he had been abducted and was had been suffering from physical and sexual abuse, and had only just recently escaped from a location in Cincinnati.
Reaney said he was a missing Illinois boy Wednesday after people in this Kentucky neighborhood reported him acting suspiciously. He was later taken to a Cincinnati Children's Hospital with abdominal pain, where he provided a swab for a DNA test. Then
law enforcement confronted him with the DNA results, and at that point, the person immediately stated that he was not Timothy Pitson.
The real Timothy Pitson disappeared 8 years ago in Illinois when he was just 6 years old. His mother was found dead in a hotel room of an apparent suicide.
Mr. Reaney told agents that he learned this information from watching a 2020 episode about Timothy Pitson. We confirmed that there was such a 2020 episode and that, in fact, a rerun had aired just several weeks ago.
Pitson's mother reportedly left behind a note saying her son was safe with people who would care for him and would never be found. Federal investigators hope the fresh attention on this case will bring new clues. Mark Liverman, CBS News.
And stay with CBS 5 for continuing coverage on this case on the CBS Evening News with Jeff Glor at 6:30. Happening this weekend, Monster Jam brings its massive trucks to the Carrier Dome, and with it, the threat of some massive traffic jams. CBS 5's Tommy Sladak is with the Live Eye at the Dome right now.
Well, it's a unique experience tonight for motorsport lovers. A VIP pit party going on right now. Gates just open. These guests are getting to see the trucks up close and meet the drivers they'll see doing high-flying stunts tomorrow. Now, the event will draw people from all over, and with that comes some big traffic concerns. Both Syracuse police and Dome officials are telling visitors and city residents they should expect an increase in traffic around the Dome. Monster Jam organizers are expecting roughly 35,000 people to pack the stands tomorrow. SU's Chief Operations Officer, Pete Sala, is reminding fans of their clear bag policy in place this year. You will also have to go through metal detectors. Sala is urging drivers to park south of campus and take advantage of the Skytop lot. Shuttles will be provided to the Dome.
Unless you've already purchased one of the pre-sale tickets that we have, the parking passes for the west side of the building between 81 and the Dome, you need to go to Skytop. So if we can get people to go to Skytop, come early. The building opens at 2:30. It's an all-day event. The sooner you get here, the less issues you'll have with traffic.
Now, the gates open for regular admission at 5:30, with Monster Jam starting at 7 tomorrow night. A chance to see these 12 feet high, 12 feet wide trucks do some high-flying stunts. Reporting live at the Carrier Dome, I'm Tommy Sladak.
A lot of people excited for it. Thank you, Tommy. Former Vice President Joe Biden in public for the first time since facing claims he made some women feel uncomfortable. What he has to say about it now. There was a threat, now there is a pullback. What is the president's plan to deal with the issues at the southern border?
Cars are moving fairly slowly on this Friday evening on our Stanley Law Skywatch camera, brought to you by Adirondack Furniture. That's due to the rain that's falling, and actually we're still seeing a little bit of snow out towards the far eastern half of New York. I'll tell you when this is all going to subside and when we're going to see that sunshine again in my
Coming up, find out about a new way Syracuse is making people pay their property taxes. Following up on it and making sure there's people and resources for you is what really we need in the community.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. Back to you.
Plus, how one Parkland, Florida resident thinks the government should respond after tragedies.
And who New York State is suing in response to the opioid epidemic.
Good evening and welcome to NCC News. I'm Taylor Lang.
And I'm Matt Conrad.
Our top story tonight, almost 2,000 properties in Syracuse could be seized by the city if owners do not pay their property taxes by April 6th. Our own Rebecca Castor found the total amount owed to the city is over $80 million. She's live on the south side, the area that owes the most amount of money.
Large amount of money to owe to the city, and the district I'm in right now here on the south side owes about 10% of that, which is the most out of all of the districts.
You know, a lot of people around here have a hard time finding jobs and everything like that. And good luck finding, most luck around here finding a job is like restaurants and city workers.
Andrew Barlow's lived on the south side for a while now and says a lot of his friends don't pay their property taxes. Why? Because of the difficulty they have finding good jobs without a high school diploma.
A lot of people around here are more into hustling.
And because people can't find secure jobs, they can't pay their property taxes, leading to nearly 2,000 properties at risk of being seized by the city. Owners have until April 6th to pay the tax before the city takes over. City Commissioner Stephanie Pasquale focuses on neighborhood development and says that while over half the properties on the list are actually vacant lots, another large amount of properties are owned by out-of-town landlords.
There are a number of out-of-town landlords, though, that don't do a good job. And you know, the theory, and I think what we experience is if you're not here, it's like out of sight, out of mind, and you're not paying attention to your property, it's not an asset to the community often, or it's not increasing value. It might be detracting from value of the neighborhood.
Under a new law, the city can now ticket landlords to fix their code violations. The first round of tickets will go out next week.
We hope it changes behavior. We're not looking to collect money. We're really looking for compliance.
Commissioner Pasquale did say the number of seizable properties has gone down significantly in the past 5 years, and she hopes this new enforcement tool will help that number drop even more. Reporting in Syracuse, I'm Rebecca Castor, NCC News.
Now, all the people you just heard about who haven't paid their taxes, the city is now putting their names online. The Syracuse government puts information online about its residents who haven't paid their parking tickets. While some might feel uncomfortable with the idea of sharing who owes what, one political science professor thinks it's a real problem if you withhold the list entirely.
I am 101% for public transparency of information. When we start hiding information or the press doesn't have the ability to report information, we go down a bad road then. So the fact that there's a list that's published of people that didn't pay their taxes, tough.
Snyder has one exception. He says it is not okay to share the names of people who genuinely cannot afford to pay.
The former chief of staff at SUNY Upstate Medical University has been arrested for allegedly lying on his resume. Sergio Garcia resigned last year after being accused of lying about being a part of a deadly bombing overseas. Onondaga County District Attorney Bill Fitzpatrick says Garcia has been charged with lying about earning a bachelor's degree and serving as chief of staff in the U.S. Department of State. Garcia was arraigned in Syracuse court on Tuesday.
Developing now, construction on the Carrier Dome will begin on Monday. Dome manager Pete Salas says workers will begin preparing the current structure for its new roof by installing bracing. That will allow people to attend football games and other events next season without having to change their routines.
Roof alone, that whole coordination of that and the timing of what we're trying to do is really that's the focus needs to be right now on the roof, the sound, and the lights.
Salas says the new LED lights will allow for color and complete blackouts and greatly increase player introductions and other events.
Following the school shooting that shocked the country last February in Parkland, Florida, 2 students committed suicide. Family members believe part of this tragedy is survivors' guilt.
Our Emily Barkhand spoke to one Syracuse University student from Parkland.
I'm here with Shelby Glotzer, who's from Parkland, Florida. Shelby, so what was your experience last year after the shootings at Marjorie Stoneman?
Well, I didn't go there, but I was here, And at first when it happened, I didn't really understand it. I was like, oh, there's an intruder. And then it really sunk in the next day when they told us that there was 17 lives lost, and one of them was actually my family friend that I grew up with my entire life, basically. So that was a little rough, but yeah.
Absolutely. So what is the state and what was the state of the community? What did you hear from friends and family?
Well, it was just more of a state of shock because we live in this really small town that literally the worst thing that ever happened before was a speeding ticket. So it was just no one really knew what to comprehend and how to go along with it. And we did end up having something, a whole movement, but at first no one really knew what to do exactly.
So have you since then seen or heard any initiative following that to prevent things like this happening, to prevent the suicides that followed?
There hasn't really been anything as of now. I think in the future that there definitely will be, but at the point of everything going on right now, it's more of what is going on in our community and why is constant tragedy keep happening throughout the whole area.
Yes, definitely. So then what would you like to see from the government, to stop the school shootings and to stop the suicides that may follow, since we have seen it starting to become a trend, especially in the past week?
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely with the school shooting, I think there should definitely be more security, and I hate to say it because we should be free to go to our schools and feel free walking to class and everything. As for the suicides, I definitely think there should be an initiative taken that they always talk to you about what happens the day of, and there's counseling for the week of, the month of tragedy, but we don't really follow up on it. And that's what happens because for the first 6 months of a tragedy, you're still in shock, and after is when a lot of depression and everything comes about. So following up on it and making sure there's people and resources for you is what really we need in the community.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. Back to you.
Things are heating up here in Syracuse this weekend, but first, let's take a look at the weather today. NCC News' Hannah Ravito is live at University Avenue with our latest weather. Hannah?
Thanks, guys. I'm back here on University Ave where we've got gray and cloudy skies. There was even a little bit of drizzle of rain and some winds coming through. But now let's take a look at our current conditions. It currently feels about 62 degrees. We've got an actual temperature of 60 degrees. Doesn't feel like that though with that wind, even though we have been told it feels as 62. And then we've got 23% humidity with 21 mile per hour southwest winds. That's it for first weather. Back to you guys.
And across New York, FBI statistics show the state had the 4th most reported online scam victims in 2017. Now, robocalls are trying to trick people into giving Social Security information. A woman who works closely with seniors at the Syracuse Jewish Community Center says these scams can be prevented by simply hanging up.
Don't give out any information. There's no information that you need to be giving out, period. No one's going to be asking for information like that over the phone. Just goodbye.
Broome County has declared a state of emergency because of a recent increase in deaths from opioid overdoses. County officials say there have been 6 opioid deaths in the past 11 days. Officials believe opioids like fentanyl cause risk to first responders as well as patients. Opioids can cause an increase in violent behavior, and EMTs risk overdosing from inhaling the drug while treating people. This state of emergency is unusual because it is not in response to a severe storm or weather.
As Purdue sold more and more opioids, the Sackler family transferred more and more and more wealth to their personal accounts.
New York State is now suing the family behind the billion-dollar parent company of OxyContin. The state says the company is part of the opioid crisis because it has ignored safety concerns to push for profits.
The original lawsuit was filed for just the parent company, Purdue Pharma, but now includes the owning family. The Attorney General has also included 5 other opioid-producing companies and 4 distributors. This comes only 2 days after Purdue Pharma and the family settled an Oklahoma lawsuit for $270 million.
A ban on plastic bags is gaining momentum in New York State. Governor Andrew Cuomo is finalizing part of the state budget that could include this ban.
New Yorkers currently use about 23 million plastic bags each year. The ban could also include a fee on paper bags to encourage shoppers to bring reusable ones. And coming up on NCC News,
who Republicans are demanding step down,
and which airplane company has announced a complete safety overhaul on their planes.